Hey, welcome to Inside Integration. My name is Chris. I'm joined as always by my co-host Jayson,
Hello.
and we are joined today by Shawn Sorensen from Infinite Home Technology.
Hey guys, how you doing today? Excited to be here.
Very well, sir. We are so happy to have you on. We've wanted to make this happen for a long time, and it was it was great seeing you at Lightapalooza. We're glad that we were able to connect. It's always a pleasure. You it's tough to come see you in Boise that often. It's really not.
I'm going to do it in a couple of weeks here. What are you talking about, Chris?
It's
You
not
just
that
get in
hard.
the car and you
We have
just drive.
airplanes.
Drive.
It's cool. We have airplanes here. Not many, but they come in.
Not many go there. Not
When
many
those
go.
Not many.
there?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
And so before we start, I have a bad habit of saying it as Boise. How do the natives say this?
Say it however you want. I don't know. I'm not a native. I don't know. Yeah. We just say Boise, Idaho. Yeah.
Boise. Okay.
Boise, Idaho. Yeah. There you go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So you guys are, a lot of people have heard of you guys. You guys are out there just kind of kicking ass. And I think the first time I ever heard about you guys was like on a Control4 forum years and years ago. I know you guys are big C4 dealers, and a couple of your dudes were out there on the forum helping out other dealers who they didn't even know, and that kind of left an impression on me that, hey, these guys are pretty great. So, really, we're again just happy to connect with you, and you're definitely doing some unique things out there in Boise, and sounds pretty great. I mean, what kind of things are unique to?
I'm really excited to hear from you what the unique things are that we're doing, because I think we're just doing AV. We're just hanging out, doing our thing, and doing what we've done for a long time. So happy to give back and contribute to the industry however we can. But I want to know what unique stuff we're doing, Chris.
So maybe from that perspective, let's spin it another way. Given the market size and the location of Boise, Idaho, and I think we're all talking like the locals now, so I'm excited about that.
Right. There you go.
How does a company such as yourselves get and grow to the point of, frankly, national recognition? I know that you're on the radar of several of our vendors on a first name basis. What is it that you guys are doing out there to raise your profile?
It's a great question. Just to toot our own horn for a minute, we're also a CE Pro Top 100 dealer.
That's what we're here for, Shawn.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, we're pretty proud of that. We're a good sized company at this point. We're almost 20 people. We have 2 locations. We have one we're in Meridian, which is a suburb of Boise. Then we also have a company. We own a company in McCall, Idaho, which is a small resort town about 2.5 hours from Boise. And so we've just done our thing, try and be integrous with our communication and how we operate with people. And what you see is what you get. We're nothing fancy. We're nothing special. We're just trying to be straight up honest with people. And we've been very fortunate that Boise was one of the fastest growing cities in the country for many years, which I'm sure we'll talk more about throughout this podcast. But it's been a very unique experience for us, unique experience with growth and what we have going on. And for a long time, clients were just falling in our lap. We were turning away a lot of work. Now so it's very different than a lot of people were going through COVID. We kind of exploded in growth during COVID, and we do a lot of different jobs, a lot of different style jobs, a lot of different size jobs, and we just try to be honest who we are. We're nothing special, and we've done it for a long time. I mean, our company's been around for 14 years, and I've been here for almost 5 years now, and so we just do what we do, and our style's not for everybody, though. No, we're pretty casual, to say the least, but we're not stuffy.
How does that work with your clientele? What do you typically run into out there? I mean, I've certainly run the gamut of I'm Mr. Famous, don't care, have all the money in the world, do whatever you want, to the guy that has more money than that guy, line iteming, every single detail. What's your typical client run into? I mean, I'm not asking for job sizes or something like that, but your ham and eggs kind of deal to this guy is, there's a range there, right? So, where do you guys kind of fall into that category? What kind of people are you dealing with?
Absolutely, Jayson. That's a great question. For years, I spent almost 20 years in the Park City market. And so this is a very different market. We do jobs in the 6 figures for sure, We also do a lot of jobs, much smaller. Here at this company, it's very unique that we do the whole range of gamut from $5,000 to $10,000 jobs. Our average job is much higher than that, but up into the six figures. I have jobs right now I'm quoting for in the $400,000 range and in the $4,000 range. So the vast, just
There's
to
a
run the
delta
whole
there.
gamut.
There's
Yeah,
a pretty big delta.
it's a hell of a delta, and sometimes it's hard, but sometimes it works really well to fill in the blank spots or fill in the slow spots when
Sure.
the big job. We have a huge job. The pre-wire just got bumped another month, and it's almost a six-figure pre-wire. And we show up last week and been told it's ready. It's not even close to ready. So just the delta is crazy and makes it a challenge for sure, like you said. But it keeps us busy, to say the least. Mostly our scheduling people. That's the hardest thing.
I was going to say that they're the ones that are the busiest going, oh man, we got a house in sticks they said it was ready. It's not ready. There's not even a roof on this place. Like let's get going.
Absolutely.
That
I've never been in that situation specifically.
That's awesome. Awesome.
I just showed up here with literally 2 weeks worth of work and like 8 guys, and there's not a roof on this house.
There's no sheetrock. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. Perfect. We get that pretty regularly here. There's definitely a different style here in Idaho. Is very, very slow, different pace, different style. People do not, Friday afternoons is not an appropriate time to do business. It's very casual.
I disagree.
It's very unique.
I like that.
Yeah, no, it changed several years ago when I showed up. I'm like, let's go to 410s, and we did. We transitioned to 410s, and it was one of the best things we ever did for our company. Much more productive, and then also just the city kind of shuts down on Friday afternoon. It's very unique environment, to say the least. It's very outdoorsy. We have long daylight goes up to almost 10 o'clock at night during the summer, so it's very unique, different that way.
That's pretty awesome. And that 410s thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is definitely something that there are a lot of integrators out there who are really thinking about going that way. And there's a lot of pressure to kind of do it, because in our industry, it seems like it's something that would work. You know, you can definitely schedule a construction site, to be there 10 hours or however you do that. Like what's that been for you guys? How long was the adjustment? How was it easy? Was it hard?
That's a great question, Chris. There's several of our guys internally, some of our installers, who fought it quite a bit and wanted no part of it. And what we did is just reinforce it. Okay, your dentist appointments, your doctor appointments, your personal oil changes, all that stuff, that happens on Fridays. That's when that happens. Like it's not during the weekday. And so, hey, how about don't miss work anymore, but you get a 3-day weekend every week. And I think we would have a major complete revolt at this point if we try to go back. I think I think a good portion
little
of guys
opposition
would
up front
bounce.
and
Absolutely tons of opposition
acceptance
until they get used to it. It really is hard in the wintertime because you come to work in the dark and leave in the dark, and that's really hard at times. But then in the summertime, it's magic. And then when guys take a day or 2 days off, it's all of a sudden you take 4 days off and you turn that into 8 or 9 days real quickly, and it's pretty great that way.
I mean, it's summertime in Boise. What is that, like 2 weeks? It's like
no, it's pretty mellow here. It's pretty chill. One thing, having lived in Salt Lake for 20 plus years, 25 years, we get significantly less snow, and it's pretty magical here. It gets into the hundreds for most of July and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty great. We're pretty lucky.
It's beautiful. I mean, the one time I've ever been out there was to come visit you.
Right.
And the only reason was literally specifically to visit you.
Exactly. I know that. Yeah.
But it's gorgeous. It's such a great, everything that you're saying, it really came across. It's very low key, very easy. Everybody is very outdoorsy. It felt like, maybe what Denver was 20 years ago or however that was, right? Like before all the yuppies moved in, before the California plates ended up in there.
We'll talk more about the California plates, but we love the California plates. But for real, we love them. They keep them as employed. So I'm thankful for them for sure. But no, it's a different pace. It's a different pace. When the reps show up here, they know it. The local reps. It's just casual. A lot of flip flops. A lot of short sleeve button down shirts. It's just a different pace. And it at first is a little tricky and to get used to. Haven't been from somewhere else, but it's a very casual town. So.
It definitely came across, and great coffee scene. Like your guys,
absolutely.
The coffee there
Yeah.
was fantastic everywhere we
Listen,
went.
I live
The
in
food
Seattle.
scene
You need to stop it with the coffee talk. All right, buddy.
Come try it, Jason. You
is
I'm
Tacoma
on my
couple
way.
weeks.
close
We'll
to
I'm
try
there?
it.
on my
We'll try it.
I'm
I
on
like
my
it.
way.
Yeah.
So I had to
So
stick up. I got to stick up for the town. You know what I mean? It's like
nothing wrong with coffee in
over here.
Seattle either. Yeah.
No, for sure. I'm just playing around. What am I? What am I
Awesome.
going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Certainly not. So, and do you find it kind of in line with that? Do you find that a lot of your clients are homegrown? What is it, Boisons, or like what's the etymology of that word?
Boisians?
Boisians? Like,
just the locals.
yeah. Okay.
What my guess would be, we probably deal with, and this is just purely my take, probably a third from California, a
Okay.
third from everywhere else in the country moving here, and then a third from locally here. People just downsizing or upsizing or moving across town or realizing they got to put 50 grand into their roof, and they're like, wait, I can't sell my house for more than that. I'll just sell it and get a new house. And so even when I first got here a few years ago, almost 5 years ago, there was very reasonable pricing, and that's not the case anymore. But yeah, I kind of joke around. It's a third, a third, a third. We get a lot of people from all over the country moving here. So
I mean, it's really cool too. It's
all the countries. Yeah.
very melting pot vibe too, I'm sure, right? Like,
absolutely.
You know, as terrible as us Californians are that are coming here, I'm sure there's we're all mixing together, and hopefully that's a positive thing. And wow, yeah, the fact that it's a third, and third is interesting, right? That means at least the locals aren't being priced out. There's a lot of influx in there. I mean, it sounds like it's absolutely blowing up in the area there.
It has been, and for a couple of years, it was the fastest growing city in the country, the fastest growing area. And I don't think it is quite anymore, but there are some concerns about getting priced out by the local, for the locals or things like that. But it's definitely plenty of space, plenty of land. We definitely see some problems with, nobody could have predicted this kind of growth. And so just lack of roads or locals will complain about traffic, which is very funny to me here.
Laughable.
But, laughable at best. Yeah, it took an extra 20 minutes. But yeah, for that growth is also really good for our pocketbooks and keeps us employed. And I think there's more perception in California about people not liking the Californians than there actually is here. It's not an issue. It only comes up when people start joking around about it. But I'm like, I don't really see that issue, and I'm thankful. I love California. It's
right.
The only reason I keep bringing it up is because literally I'm here in SoCal, and I know many people who have done it. They've made that move, and they love it there. It's been great.
Yeah.
Some of them come back, but it's largely been a one-way thing, and that's kind of fascinating to me. And I totally get it. You're going from here, traffic is terrible all day long. Yeah, the weather's great, but there's so much to offer in Idaho, and that's great for you guys. I'm glad you guys are capitalizing on it, and hopefully that makes your bottom line and your projects go bigger, right?
Well, yeah, we definitely get the advantage when they sell for huge numbers in California and have some extra pocket change when they show up. So nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Right. So question for you: when you're looking at the trends and the stuff, you see all this influx, and you see new construction, and you see what's happening with the home building, home building industry circa 2023, 2024. What are some of the trends that you guys are latching on to turn a profit with? I know there's a lot of integrators out there that are doing lighting, or they're doing shades and stuff like that. I feel like that's obviously pretty well established, but from your perspective, like where are the good profit centers? AV, we know, is probably a little stale these days. So what are you guys focusing on?
I don't think AV stale. I think that's fictitious. It's funny to hear that. I mean, I laugh when for years we would hear from the industry like, oh, home theater's dead, and we're doing tons of home theater. So it's just funny to hear some of the national trends, some of the guys in the national publications that people complain about. And I'm like, you're full of shit. So for me, I don't think AV's dead at all. I think it's how we perceive it. I think that we sell a lot of TVs, we sell a lot of audio. Box speakers are dead. I'll give you that. We don't sell a lot of box speakers anymore. But we also are dealing with ridiculous amounts of new construction. Up until a couple years ago, we were pre-wiring. We had 2 pre-wire teams that were doing about 300 plus homes a year in just pre-wires. So that's gone way down because the interest rates and stuff have changed quite a bit. Right. But we're starting to see it pick up quite a bit again. but I think we're doing plenty of multi-room audio here in Boise. They don't have basements, and in other areas in the country they have basements, so we had much more space to deal with. So here, a 4,000 square foot house, a good sized house, and we're doing much bigger than that in the resort areas. But we're packing a lot of stuff into those homes. I mean, some of those homes at 3,000 square feet, we're still 6 figures of product in there.
Sure.
It just depends on what we're doing. All of a sudden, we're doing lighting and shades, and a bunch of audio zones and a couple of surround sounds, and packing it in that way. So it just depends on what the customer. We're really good. Like I say this a lot, and I've said this for a long time. I don't care if you spend $5,000, $50,000, $500,000. Doesn't matter to me. What do you want? Just you direct. I'm happy to listen. I think that's something we in this industry get really bad at times. Is we forget to listen and just, hey, what do you want?
Sure.
What do you want? Let's just tell me what you want, and we'll design for that.
Well,
that's
there's definitely, that doesn't hurt us at all, right? Like we're supposed to be the concierge of cool stuff, right? Like here's what we are as integrators. We're supposed to kind of be shepherds and lead you through it. But yeah, at the end of the day, what is important to you as the client? And I'm kind of encouraged to hear you say that like home theater isn't dying, and it's, we've heard that just like you have. We've heard it all over the place. Yeah, dedicated theater rooms are kind of becoming a thing of the past, and maybe they're merging more into media rooms or combined spaces. But dedicated theater rooms, I mean, that's a great thing. If you can get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. We're not doing a lot of them here just because the size of houses, and as most people across the country have seen in new developments, the lots are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And we're doing a $2 million house that has a 6-foot property line to the side of it. And you're just like, wait a second.
That would drive me insane to be spending 7 figures on a house and have somebody 8 feet away from my kitchen window. Sorry,
Jason. The nice part of it. Yeah, but if you need to borrow a cup of sugar, you just reach out your window and you borrow some sugar from the neighbor, whatever you need.
Fair enough.
But no, so we're seeing some weird stuff like that. So just not a lot of space, but anytime we have the time to geek out on a theater, and we do it, we get all over that. And I don't believe that stuff's dead. I just think people stop talking about it a little bit. People don't know what they don't know, and we spend a lot of energy just educating customers. We spend a lot of energy talking about, hey, here's options. Do you even know that's an option? Do you even know what you can do? Like you bet. So our job is really educators more than just about anything. Is just teach people what we can do.
And trends definitely shift that way, right? So so maybe dedicated home theaters aren't as important right now, but maybe 2-channel listening rooms is the next thing, right? Maybe
I'd love that if it were true.
I wish that were I wish.
Right. Because you set them up so quick, no service calls. I love 2-channel.
Yeah.
2-channel is awesome when kid.
Nobody saw vinyl coming. Nobody saw vinyl coming back 15 years ago. This is it could happen.
No, we're installing. I think it's later this week. A turntable into a whole home audio system without dedicated speakers, just into it. I'm like, all right, we can mix vinyl in for you, whatever we got to do. And that's as you guys see that's one trend with box speakers, real tricky to get past the wife or the interior designer. And so like, all right, how do we do this, and how do we still have cool stuff in there? It sounds really good, but we do a lot of hiding it. We do a lot of in-floor subs, from various brands, and all right, how do we hide this the best?
Yeah, that's a trend in and of itself, right? Is making sure that you can, if you can jam a power pipe somewhere and make it just look like an opening for a HVAC register, or you can get 3-inch aperture speakers that match all the lighting in the home. That's its own trend. We're
doing a lot of that stuff when we can. Just how do we hide it? How do we make it sound really good? And I love electronics. I've done this for a long time. I love it. I just don't want to see the rack anymore. Nobody wants to see the gear. We're just hiding all that stuff. And sometimes that's our biggest challenge. Where can we stash the gear? Where can we stash the rack?
Without a basement, there's, the basement is the easy answer, right? You just stuff everything downstairs, you wall it off, call it a day, make sure there's a louver door, and it's in itself. But
that kind of leads me into like the trend question again, though. What are you guys seeing by and large with, it maybe in the day it would be DMX, or you'd have your video distribution system, de jour, whatever that is, and a centralized rack. If you're not doing that system now, what's the most common deployment you guys are doing?
We are still doing some of those systems. Jayson, for sure. Some video distribution. We're doing a lot of audio distribution for sure. Not as much video distribution, but we're seeing it on some of those jobs, and definitely centralizing equipment still, especially with the size of the houses we're dealing with. I mean, we have some monsters, some big 20,000 square foot houses, a couple of them, big 10, 12, 14,000 square foot. And so some of those just won't allow us to do one centralized one house as a couple locations. But we're doing a lot of audio, and then dabbling in lighting quite a bit. Not just traditional lighting control. We've all done that plenty for a long time,
Sure.
with Lutron shades and lighting, but dabbling in, some really cool, we did a speakeasy in a guy's house recently that had really cool lighting, lots of different, 20 plus loads, so some really cool stuff to highlight some liquor, some really crazy opportunities with lighting that's showing up in ways that we never imagined, just because electricians don't want to touch it. I'm sure we can talk more about Lightapalooza, but electricians are just scared. They just need to make sure they hit a button, something comes on, and so it's a lot of training builders. So definitely some of that, Jayson.
Are you guys doing EC at all? Are you guys electrical contractors at all, or is it all just low voltage?
We're just low voltage. We got enough worries about that. So
yeah, I didn't know what the state laws are like in Idaho, or if there even were laws regarding some of that stuff. I know it's pretty small government out there, so I wasn't sure what the licensing and stuff like that was like.
Yeah, we just got plumbing recently, and so there's just guys holding reflectors off the sun right now to get this light. But yeah, so we definitely just trying to figure out how that how to generate some source for power.
Do you find yourself doing lighting in a lot of barns where they put their horse and buggy? I think that's what Jayson was asking.
That's not what I'm alluding to, by the way.
Not at all, Jayson. No, we definitely don't do any high voltage. That's no. Let somebody else do that. Sure. We have run into a couple electricians. We're doing a cool a theater that I've been involved with for many years. We keep adding stuff to it and growing, and now we're adding a bunch of lights from DMF in there, swapping out some lights, and the electrician's like, Shawn, you'll spec this, figure out the lights, and just hand them to me. He was stoked. I wish all electricians operated that way. He's just excited as can be about, great, I just have to do the labor. I can send a guy over. Great. How many lights, Shawn? And I tell him it's, rattle off, and he's like, perfect. Are you going to supply the dimmers too? I'm like, yep. He's like, all right, cool. You just tell me where they go, and it's great. Now, obviously, most electricians don't operate that way, but he's a good dude, and I'm like, how do we get him involved in more projects like that?
There are, though, you're right. You paint a good picture that there's definitely a balance here, right? Like there's some electricians who don't want to be bothered in this stuff whatsoever, but there's a lot of electricians who maybe they're a little bit threatened by the integrator offering fixtures, or the integrator offering strips and control and that sort of thing. But at the same time, we're all working as a team, right? This is your project team. So as long as you got the right mentality in here, there's ways to figure this stuff out. And, to kind of do what you guys are doing is probably the best way, right? Then you don't have to get yourself tangled up into, an electrical division and having dedicated personnel and that sort of thing. I mean, that's great. That sounds like a recipe for success.
Well, and there's times where we just hit a brick wall completely. I got a very large 6-figure project where the electrician knows everything. Just ask him, he'll tell you. And like, I just, I'm not good at being quiet, but I just have to take a step back and let him do his thing, and realize we left another, 6 figures on the table. We have full lighting, panelized lighting control in there, but there's no way he was going to let us talk about strip lighting or, linear lighting, or even placement of lighting, or getting, he's a lighting expert. He knows everything. So it's just, it's tricky of like, hey, how can we get involved when we can, and we have the room? And at the end of the day, you're right, Chris, we all want the same thing. We're all the design team. We all want the same thing. We just want to make the customer happy, however that happens.
And there's a certain amount of, years ago, there was a certain amount of electricians who were offering AV stuff, right? So there's definitely a push-pull here, right? Like you may have an electrician, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do these pre-construction, I can do speakers and volume controls in your whole house.
Through this house, it'll be just fine. Great.
We just saw one recently in McCall. I mean, it's just a little shanty. It's about a $6 million house, and somebody ran pre-made Cat 6 cables all through it. One of our guys just stopped by, asked us to do a little security thing, and there's just extra wire just bundled up in the ceiling and stuff. And you're just like, all right, you can only fight the battles you can fight, and that's the tricky part. And that's true all the way across the country.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah. Different perceptions of value for that kind of stuff, right? So
perceptions of value. Yeah. And then like, what do you mean? You're going to talk to me about AV and the shades and the lighting? What else? So
Right.
some of that's changing our builders too. Sometimes we got some good old boys that have been building for 30 years and they're like, no, Shawn, we got people for that. I'm like, okay, I'm just here to help where we can,
And
and
but
so some
but at the same
electricians get it,
time,
some don't.
there's a lot of builders who are receptive to saying, okay, you know what, for all of my integrated solutions, for my lighting, my shades, my network, all of this stuff, it's
Yeah.
one neck to throttle, right? Like, so,
One neck to
technology
sleep.
doesn't work. It's this
Yeah.
guy. And there's a
Call
lot of
one
folks,
person.
yeah, there's a lot of folks who are just more than happy to do that. And, it helps. And that's obviously, this is why you were at Lightapalooza, right?
Right.
Let's learn
Right.
more. Let's
And
get into more things.
And for the most part, Lighted was great. It was great to go focus on just lighting. That was my first time attending. And out of the 3 years it's happened, it was great to focus on only lighting. And for me, the biggest thing is just seeing seeing people like that, just reconnecting with people in the industry, besides CEDIA, besides other events.
Sure.
It was fantastic. I walked away with some great information, some of the vendor stuff. Most of the classes were really good. A couple were not as helpful, but some were really great. And even just walking away with a little more information. The one thing that was a concern is to walk into any house after going to that and be like, oh, they all suck. They all
Right.
are
Yeah.
why wrong. And you're like,
It
oh
ruins
my
you.
gosh.
It-
Absolutely.
it-
More education is not always beneficial that way. But
yeah.
yeah.
I was better not knowing that this house was
Exactly.
terribly lit.
Right.
Or God
As you walk
forbid,
around,
your own house.
there's shadows everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Your own house, and I'm cutting on the counter and cutting some garlic. Like, oh, it's shadow right here. Like, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. You know
So-
what? I should talk to my AV guy about getting some cool lighting in my kitchen.
This
Exactly,
task lighting is
exactly.
not effective.
Right.
You
This
know?
task, not at all. Yeah, not at all. So, yeah, we do a lot. It's just creative times for that, for sure.
Right. I had a thought here. What are you guys doing? Because I think it's pertinent as we look at the age of the people that are on this show at the moment. I know we're not all in our 20s anymore. I mean, maybe you are.
Speak
You've
for
just been doing a
yourself.
lot of
Yeah.
lot of fast living.
Awesome.
But what are you guys doing to bring younger techs or bring people up into the game? Like, what are you guys looking at? Tech schools? Are people approaching you? Like, what are you guys doing to bring young techs up into the game?
Man, that's a great question, Jason. We're very fortunate. We're the largest AV company size-wise in Idaho now. And so we're very fortunate. We have just shy of 20 people. We haven't had to hire anyone for a while, which is great. We're hiring another front office person right now. Just trying to take care of the people we have is the biggest challenge there. Not going to tech school. Having done this for a long time, I've not had luck. I'd love to hear if other people have had luck and that kind of thing. And traditionally, it's been the challenge of like we always start guys really low, just on pre-wires or rough-ins, whatever you want to call them, in different parts of the country. Those days are just gone on paying guys very little and ask them to come in because they can go down to the street and work at McDonald's or Subway and make a lot more money. So we've had to change how we do things that way quite a bit, just financially. Out of the gate, as soon as they start, like they got to make a decent wage. Whereas that's just changed a lot in the last few years, a whole lot, maybe in the last 5 years. So our challenge is to train them and keep them. Training's really important for us. We don't have a lot of time because we're so busy. So oftentimes we'll incentivize the guys to train or do a training outside of work and then reward them for it. For some of our guys, if they did the Josh AI training, for example, we gave them a microphone and a kit for home. So
Yeah, see, that's a valuable insight to anybody that's
Yeah.
listening. Is I know that's one thing I look around at trade shows and stuff, and I'm like, I do see some younger cats floating around, but the percentage of like when I came into the game, it was like 20 and 30 somethings everywhere, and now we're all
right.
40 and 50 somethings, right?
Still is.
So
It's still the same.
It still is, Jason. I mean, I definitely have been around for a long time. Half my life doing this, and I remember looking around like, all the reps are old. What's going on?
yeah, I'm one of those guys now. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's all us. Now it's all us, and I'm like, oh wait, it didn't change. So I mean, it's just how do you capture that? I mean, we've definitely had guys leave, or through my career, I've had guys leave because they're their father-in-law or their dad or somebody's like, no, you got to go be an electrician or what, like, hold on, you can make a really good living in this industry if you hang on for a minute and just realize it is potential. It is trying to, we've moved guys up from just being on pre-wires to all of a sudden now they're installers and programming and different things, but encouraging as much possible training as they can. And you also see guys kind of separate themselves between job versus career when they're willing to do some of that on their own time, especially if we can reward them, bonus them, whether it's, a PCNA training with networking, or like I said, the Josh AI training, you get the mic and the kit, and now but you're expected to use it at home too. Or, how do we take care of guys and like, no, you need some of this gear. How can we make sure you have it? That's my fear is I've dealt with guys who've been in this industry a long time. They don't have much at home at all. I'm like, oh, come on. How do we figure this out together? You don't need a whole rack of gear, but you need something so you're using the stuff.
Absolutely. No, it's like I said, really valuable insight.
It scratches 2 itches. It's a great incentive and it gets guys familiar with this stuff. So, when one of your guys is showing a client how to use their own gear, like they're on it because they use it in their own home. Like, this is, it's a difficult thing. And we're definitely, we're largely separated from the class maybe that our clients are in. And to be able to, live in that world a little bit, at least for the stuff that we're doing, it's invaluable. And I mean, I can tell you, when I was an integrator, I was based out of New Jersey. I was in an area in New Jersey where there wasn't a whole lot going on. We had good projects. We had a good, oceanfront, that kind of thing. But there weren't a whole lot of AV companies that were local, and there wasn't a whole lot of talent that was local. One of the things that was hardest was it was just finding people, right? Like you could put an ad here, you could put an ad here, and you kind of fall into this bucket of trying to explain what you do and get somebody into it. And like, well, what do we do? Well, we might be doing Wi-Fi today, we might be pulling wires tomorrow, we might be doing minor sheetrock repair or whatever, and that kind of thing. You can't really put it out there, but it's close enough to. It's close enough to electrical that we were able to go to a local vocational school, and we were able to say, hey, in your electrical department, could you help us identify candidates who are in your program who may not want to die of electrocution, right? Like maybe they want to hang a TV, or, maybe they're not really adept at this. And that was super helpful, at least just in getting people to kind of to funnel in. And, those things don't exist in a lot of places. We're we're asking you because Boise is probably a market that's a lot like that, where it's tough.
Well, and trying, it's like you call and ask my father what I do for a living. He's like, something with TVs, it's trying to explain what we do in a job advertisement. Like, okay, so you're going to go from a crawl space to a $6 million house, and hey, just dust off real quick, will you? And don't put your tools on somebody's antique furniture. All right. And like, how do you cover all that? It's just like, it's a great challenge for sure, but it's just, hey, we put some ads out, bring people in. I will always say, having hired a lot in my career, I will always say hire for personality first. Is it the right fit? Is this someone I want to, would I go on a road trip with this person? Would I hang out with this person? Because they're going to spend a lot of time with each other, and it's just about, hey, is this the right personality? We've definitely interviewed people because lots of people have called us wanting to move here. Or, they call from the Bay Area and they're like, oh, hey, I'll come be a project manager and I need $240,000 a year. And like, cool. So do we, like, come on, so it's just realistic about what's happening and what we can offer and what we expect. It's the weirdest job, as you guys know. It's a strange industry that is really hard to explain what it is. And it's every game, at least electrician, like it's just, here's what you do. It's right in front of you, but you never know with us.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that makes it great though. It's always, it's always an adventure, right? Like you don't know, it might be surveillance today. It might be this or that.
Perfect. Perfect. For an industry of people with ADD, it's perfect.
Absolutely. For us with ADHD, it's why we're here, Jayson. It's what we do.
I'm a poster child for it. Yeah, exactly. I fit the description perfectly. I'm like, bored with that. Oh, bored with that. Oh, there's something else to do today. Oh, cool. Bored with that. All right, moving on. What are we going to do tomorrow?
Lighting fixtures.
I don't care if it sucks.
Yeah,
if it sucks,
lighting
that's fine.
Fixtures, but that's what we do.
As long as it's different, that's all I care about. Right?
Absolutely. Cool.
That's good stuff. Okay. So, in advance of Jayson's foray out there, what What's give me some good food recommendations for
Yeah,
Boise.
really.
What do you got?
We just, if especially if you're going to be here over the weekend, Jason, just let me know up front, and I'm happy to show you around. We got some
Sure.
great options. Boise's smaller than a lot of places, but we got a lot going on. We got a great craft cocktail scene here. Some really cool food options. Some really cool downtown. This next weekend is Tree Fort, which is this huge music festival. So there's a ton of artists coming in. It's an independent music festival. So a lot of people coming in. There's also a comedy part of it. Mark Maron's headlining the comedy part of it. So there's some big hitters
Wow.
coming to town. So a lot of people coming in for this. So there's much more going on here than anybody acknowledges. It's one of my favorite parts about Boise is even at Lightapalooza. So I introduce myself and they're like, Boise, and they're like, sorry, and I'm like, cool, be sorry, it's no problem.
That's a good thing to keep
Lightapalooza
secret.
bet.
You know?
Keep that to
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
Oh, it's
Exactly.
terrible. Don't come here.
Right. Yeah.
Keep your
So
Tesla
it's
in the Bay
definitely,
Area.
yeah, exactly. Chris, as you said, like Denver 20 years ago. I mean, the river runs right through town. There's a really cool part in the river right by downtown where they change the wave every day from surfing to kayaking, and there's a coffee shop right there. So
That's so cool.
for me to
What?
have coffee and just watch the surf line up in the morning, like I think I could really shock you, Jason, to spend a day here.
You just described like a day at San Clemente. You did not describe a
Exactly.
day in Boise,
Exactly.
Idaho. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I'm excited to check that out. I want to go paddle up into the lineup. I mean,
Yeah,
I lived in
you
Florida
laugh.
for a little while. I'll be old man
Perfect.
shivering in the river. Like
Perfect. You get a kick out of the 12-year-old rolling up on his beach cruiser with a little trailer and his surfboard in it, and he pulls out a wetsuit, and I'm just in there drinking coffee. Like,
So
there's worse ways to spend a Sunday morning than watch that.
we're just ripping it up in the river. That's crazy, man.
Just tearing it up. Yeah, tearing it up. And it's a paddleboard park, so there's people all over the place. There's a lot going on here. It's just a smaller scale. That's all. Yeah.
Right.
Really cool bar scene. We have a couple of speakeasies we're working on. We have a new restaurant we're working on. Really cool, lively music. We just did a bunch of speakers in this new restaurant. And just the request is more bass. Let's make it loud. Let's do this.
Okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
we have the power to give you mucho bass if that's what you desire.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just kind of, it's just teaching people what we can do. And then, all right, what's your real budget? Because we want to design as much as we possibly can within that budget.
So that's a great question too. So from an investment level for your business, and forgive me because I haven't been out to see you guys yet. What have you got for a showroom? What have you guys got for a demonstration space? How does that work?
So we have an office building or an office here, off the beaten path a little bit. Mostly appointment only type thing. We don't show a lot of stuff for so many years. We were so busy that I believe we were turning away almost as much work as we were doing for 3 years or so. It was insane, and so it just didn't make any sense to put money into it. And then almost 2 years now, a year and a half ago, we bought the company McCall, and so our money's gone into that instead of into the showroom itself.
Sure.
And what we're finding is a lot of people. Showrooms are awesome. I've sold out of showrooms. Showrooms are awesome too. And there's some things you really need to demo, and then there's plenty of things that it doesn't make sense to demo. It doesn't make sense to do that. We want to sit down with plans and just design. Hey. Also, probably 80%, this is a guess, probably 80% of what we're doing is new construction. So at that point, we're meeting with people here in our office, showing a few things, not much, but just drawing it all over plans, keeping it kind of old school, just printing out the plans real big. And all right, let's just go room by room together. You tell me what you want, and just we hang out and draw.
That's a great approach.
Oh, that's cool. So they've got a model home or whatever to work from too, right? So
No model homes. No, nobody has time for that. Yeah.
Really, man, it must be like just build them and sell them. Must be nice, man. Golly.
Yeah. There are no model homes. No. All of a sudden, we have some parade homes coming up with several builders who haven't done parades in 5 or 6 years because they haven't needed to. But no, we deal with several builders who are just build spec homes but no model homes.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if that was something like where your clients had at least something in reality to look at and say, oh yeah, I'll have, this finish or this tile or something like that. It's crazy. I've been in some fast-paced builder markets before, but nothing like that. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, the people were making offers on those models as they built them, and so it just didn't make any sense.
So why do we
take the money and you can go to a tile store and pick tile. You can go to a lighting store and pick lighting. You can go to those kind of stuff, and so there's plenty of those. So often, some of our builders, semi-custom, will do the tour they just tore them around at all those stops in a couple of days, and then come see. I got a customer coming in tomorrow afternoon. They're building I don't know, just around $1 million home, but they're doing a big tour tomorrow with just going to pick all their fixtures and then spending a couple hours with me at the end of the day. So,
Wow.
Man, don't you want to be the first guy that they come and see so you can get the first kick at that money instead of after?
Sometimes, but I mean, like, we joke around. Nobody needs what we do. Not really.
No, I know.
You need tile. You need bathrooms. You need kitchens. You need you don't necessarily need AV. And so oftentimes they'll show up and they're glazed over. It's just been a hell of a day. And so I'm like, you guys need a hug, need a cocktail.
Yeah.
What do you need? How can we help? So
let Uncle Shawn talk to you. Come here, buddy.
Absolutely.
Give me a hug.
I like being the last one, Jayson, because then I'm the most memorable.
Yeah, that's true. We finish on a high note, right? I like that. I like that attitude. That's a good
right.
Again, anybody that's listening to this out here, we're talking to these guys and trying to have that conversation we'd have at the convention or in the back room kind of thing, right? Like, or off, off the floor or what have you. So those insights I think are really valuable for anybody to like maybe look at their own business and be like, okay, well, some of this applies to me and some of it doesn't. Shawn doesn't have to worry about a model home. I do.
No. Yeah. Well,
and that's definitely why.
I've done work.
I mean, that's definitely why we wanted to have you on. It's a unique story. It's a it's a unique thing. We're all about it. This business is different strokes all over the place, right? Like there's so many different ways to do what we all do, and to hear your story, it's geographically it's interesting, just logistically within your firm itself, it's super interesting, and I think it's a story that should completely be out there. And it's, as integrators, it's always great to hear people reinforce, oh yeah, hey, I'm doing that too, oh yeah, that's an interesting way to do it, and get those ideas and kind of share those ideas, and it's great, man. And
when you've seen that, Chris, you've been here in our office. It's more,
yeah.
we got a little bit of stuff we demo, Jayson, but it's very little. We have plans in a couple other rooms, a little media room, another theater room, and just we just haven't got to it. And what we're finding is we haven't really it hasn't slowed us down. We're not. We've seen some other competitors in town move showrooms or move locations and spend all their money on that, and they're complaining about not having work, and we're busting at the seams. And so it's a weird blend.
Well,
it's what works for us.
I was going to say that just speaks to your if people are coming to you, I think you're doing something right. It's kind of how that works.
Yeah. We at this point we haven't had to advertise or market yet. We haven't had time for any of that, and so we've definitely seen a little bit of a slowdown, but not a lot. And we're plugging away. And like I said, we're not for everybody. You need to sit down, listen to 5 or 6 different pair of speakers. That's not it. You want me to tell you how they're going to make you feel, though, and explain to you how it's going to set up in your room and how easy it is going to be to use. Now we're talking. I don't care about price. Price is 4th or 5th in the most important thing. Easy use is number 1 for me. No matter what you spend, let's make it easy to use and make sure everybody's using it. And now let's just go. We're gonna joke around, and we're gonna be casual. Hey, what makes sense for you?
And that's probably a big reason for your success, because it's about the emotion. When you're selecting your client, it is about the emotions, how they respond to the vibe that you're putting out. Not to sound too Southern Californian, but it's very much about what you put out into the world, and you guys have a vibe like no other. So that's
well, and it's definitely, you've seen it. We're super casual, and it's in the way, like we're quick to point out, you're gonna have a lot longer relationship with us than you are your builder. Your tile guy, you're never going to see them again. It doesn't matter who your cabinet guy was. They'll put the cabinets in, they're good or they're not, they work. Cool. Yep. Let's go. But you're going to call us quite a bit. We do projects for people many, many years down the road. There's many clients we have now, we're on their 4th or 5th home together. And it's like, great, we're here to take care of you. And they call us back. So it's definitely what we put out there, Chris. And it's just casual. Yeah.
Well, we're coming up against the end here, and man, it has been great. I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours. And
I know.
Hey, we want to have you back on. Let's do this again.
Our first integrator guest. So you can put this on your LinkedIn, Shawn. You were the first integrator guest on Inside Integration.
As you know, Jayson, you never forget your first.
Yeah. That's right. Well, I'm excited. Right. I'm excited to be, on that stat with you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Awesome. I like it. Awesome.
Shawn, it's
anything else, fellas? Anything else I could do?
It's been an absolute pleasure, and we're looking forward to it. Let's have you back again soon. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, I'll see you
right.
soon, Jason. See you in a
Thanks for
couple
being
weeks.
on with us,
Okay.
buddy. Take care.
Okay, take care, guys.